Fred was very shy, introverted. He didn't have a happy childhood. He was lonely. He really didn't have any friends. And he had a puppet theater when he was very little, like 5, 6, 7. On the 3rd floor, his parents gave him a whole room for his puppet theater. And then his mother began inviting one particular friend from school to come home with him at lunch. And she would come home for lunch, they'd have lunch, and then he would perform his puppet theater. And he'd watch her very closely to see what did she like, what did she react to. And that was the beginning of Fred as a programmer with puppets. But then, for a long, long time, he didn't use puppets in any of his work. His wife, Joanne, said she didn't even know he had all these puppets until he started making the Children's Corner and they came out. But what happened was, on the evening before the Children's Corner went on the air, Dorothy Daniels, who was the station manager, gave Fred a gift, which was a little hand puppet of a tiger. And so the next day, Fred had the tiger pop out of the clock and say, in 1492, Columbus discovered America. And that was the beginning of puppets on the neighborhood. And then one after another, all the other puppets, some of them came out of the attic of his house, some of them were fashion new, but they became a binding thematic approach that really pulled the whole program together.
The significance of the puppets are that when you take these complicated child development theories and make a story out of them, there are things that puppets can say that adults can't. And puppets are a vehicle that kids use a lot anyway. They play with them. If you listen to kids play, it's about their lives. And so if you give a child 2 puppets and the child starts to play with it, you can learn a lot about the child and what's going on with that child. So it was a way to tell a story to help the viewers work something out. You know, if we do a week about divorce, there was a story about the king and the queen maybe getting divorced because they had a fight. That wasn't really true. It was just sometimes people get angry with each other. But the puppets and the characters in the neighborhood of make-believe worked out that story about divorce over the week.
It was remarkable. I have seen the videos of children when Fred used to take the puppets to groups of children when he was trying to understand. He wouldn't take it as a puppet show. He would do it as a way of understanding who the children are. They would talk to the puppet. They weren't looking at Fred's face. They would talk to the puppet.
The part with Mr. Rogers talking to the camera was the adult, the person who supported you and gave you limits and boundaries. The neighborhood of make-believe was about using your imagination and about helping kids work through the challenges of being a child in a way that was comfortable.
Fred was able to make each one of those puppets an authentic part of who he was and who we all are. Fred often talked about the shyness of Daniel Tiger. I know that was a part of Fred. Then the pompousness of King Friday and wanting to be in charge, and the mischievousness of Lady Elaine. I remember Fred saying, we all have those parts inside of us. And how he even said in one of the interviews how much fun it is to play them out, to express yourself through all these different parts of yourself through the puppets.